Today we are talking about wheels and tires. Every build begins with a singular decision, and that is what tire size do you want to run on your vehicle, no matter if it's a mid-size, full-size HD trucks. In regards to today, we're gonna be talking about my Ram 2500, the new 2025, and my choices that I made and why. So to get things started, the focus of today's video also reflects a very specific technology that Method pioneered. So you see here on my right, your left, I have the Raceline Monster Beadlock wheel, which you've seen on some of my other builds in the past. And then to my left, your right, I have the Method 704 HD Method Bead Grip wheel. The reason why that's important is because there are some nuanced decisions that you'll have to make if you're interested in setting up an HD truck. And just to preface this again, this is the reason why I decided on these options. To kick things off, I wanted to run a 37-inch tall tire, and in order to do that, chose Carli suspension. If you want more on the Carli suspension options and features, make sure you check out the next video. We'll link here or in the description. And to do that and run 37s, the next question that I had to answer is, what is the load range that I want to run on a 37? And on an HD truck, typically guys run an 18-inch wheel, and I want to run as more of an off-road based tire size, a 17. That proved to be just a little bit more, I don't want to say difficult, but I did have to kind of jump through some hoops in order to accomplish 37 with 17-inch wheels. And today I was able to do that with the help of CJC Off-Road. Make sure you check them out. Great guys, very informative. So contacted them, said, hey, I want to run 37-inch tall tire with a 17-inch rim. And they said, perfect. We have CJC specific rims for that. And they actually said, wouldn't you rather run a 38? And I said, well, no, I want more tire sizes and I want more, meaning in the off-road space. They said, cool. This is their recommendation. Well, they had several recommendations, but this is one that I ended up choosing. And you'll notice that it doesn't have a beadlock, as I lined out in the intro, because of the use case of the vehicle. So point one, tire size, wheel size, use case. My truck is a daily driver, first and foremost. The Gladiator is more of my off-road toy at this point in our timeline. And I do have to drive kids back and forth from jiu-jitsu to school, haul the family around, but also go pick up the Gladiator in the event of me totaling it in the Vail corridor in Colorado. Different story. Make sure you find that video on here. So in order to keep the Ram's 20,000 pound towing capacity, I do have to be very intentful on the things that I'm doing while also maintaining the weight ratings of everything. Case in point, this wheel is very strong. They are rated at 4,500 pounds for each wheel. And I did go with a load range E on my 37s, which is something like 3,195 pounds at 65 PSI, ridge grapplers, from Nitto. And that's very important because when you go to 17s, and let's say, you guys who jump up to 40s right away on a HD truck, you do lose your tow rating because those are more off-road centered. Now, ridge grappler, again, it's a good combination of all-terrain / mud terrain. I won't get into too much depth on that, but that's the reason for choosing this tire size with wheel size combination. So I'm gonna turn it sideways. The next question and use case answer that I had in line was beadlocks or non-beadlocks. And this is where I really feel like this wheel stands apart from everybody else. There's a couple of pros and cons when it comes to beadlock versus non-beadlock. One is they're not street legal. There's maybe one, maybe two companies who actually are, but there's an added mechanism that does require some maintenance. And you see here, I do have some hardware. And I can show you that on the Raceline wheels that I started out with. The best scenario, though, is doing something that will give you the same, well, maybe not the exact same, but relatively close retention of the bead on your tire without having that added maintenance and source or potential source of failure, which is within this hardware segment. That's why I wanted these, since it's a daily driver that will see some off-road use. Again, back to use case. I believe that this is gonna be the best option for this specific build. As we're kind of lining out the Ram, the reason why I bought the 2500 is because it needs to haul, it needs to daily drive, it needs to hit some off-road. At this point, there's not a lot of payload that I'm gonna have in the back of it just yet. What I am planning on is putting together a package that will suit me in that. So let me go ahead and put this down and I'll show you what's going on with this Bead Grip Tech. Okay, you'll see here a traditional wheel will have this same shelf that the bead slides over. This one has a little bit of a modification, which in turn retains the bead there. So we'll see how well this works. I've heard good things about it, but again, I won't make any opinions or judgments on it until I use it. But that is the main reason on both the rear and the front facing side that I think this this wheel will do really good for my tires. Let me show you the Beadlocks. You can see here the hardware that is included in a traditional beadlock goes through here, and you have, I can't remember how many are on there, different bolts that attach, and it mechanically locks down your tire. Now, the reason why that's important is because in an extreme off-road situation or performance situation, it'll ensure that at low PSI or at high speeds, or even like high compression when you're in the rocks, it won't throw a bead. In this case too, these wheels are a lot heavier than the previous ones I was showing you, so I do have some weight savings in that. And again, all that reciprocating mass, even on a 37, can really add up. So that's one of the other areas there too. So not knocking Beadlocks at all. I mean, I run them on my more, off-road focused vehicles. It's just not the right choice for the Ram and its current build. Method does have a chart for their Beadlock wheels for that entire series where you can go in where they tested certain tires and PSIs and gave recommendations on how you can effectively run it. Case in point, when I have Beadlock wheels, there's been several times where if we're snow wheeling, I drop down all the way to 3 to 1 PSI. I want to test that, so we'll leave those numbers out of it. I couldn't find anything on the Nitto Ridge grapplers that I'm gonna be putting on there, so that'll be a future video. But the reason why you do that is because when you lower the PSI on your tires, you essentially create deflection, and that tire starts to deflect out, giving you a greater footprint on the ground, whether it's any type of terrain, traction or low traction situations, in snow, in mud, in rocks. That's the reason why you do that. So again, use case scenario, the truck is gonna be many things, and I think that this is going to balance out all of the use cases that I have. Also, I should note, this is something that took me some research to find. When you're doing 37s on a leveling kit, same way that I'm doing, a lot of comments and opinions state that it's not possible because of rubbing. Well, this wheel has a plus 18mm offset. I will have to trim some of the plastic, but it's proven over at Carly's website, over at the CJC Off-Road website and their YouTube channels, that this will all work perfectly in terms of packaging. Like, subscribe, let me know in the comments if you have any more questions. I'm learning, HD trucks as I'm going along. You guys know that I've kind of spent more time with Jeeps and Toyota, so super excited to get this vehicle on the road and then hopefully, on the trail with you all. Catch you on the next one, guys.